Now, new at 6, the death of a man while in police custody in Sikeston is now under investigation. Blake Showalter joins us live in the studio with late-breaking details. Blake?
Kathy, investigators with the Missouri State Highway Patrol have now identified the man who died as 44-year-old Lloyd Gilmore. According to Patrol Sergeant Brad Gurman, their Division of Drug and Crime Control is now taking a closer look at Gilmore's death while he was in the custody of the Sikeston Department of Public Safety last night. Gurman says they are waiting on the results of an official autopsy to determine Gilmore's cause of death. Sikeston DPS put out this release a short time ago in response to questions from the community. It refers to an incident that happened while officers attempted to take Gilmore into custody. That's really all we know at this point. Department leaders are not saying what led to Gilmore's arrest or how he died. According to the release, Sikeston DPS requested DDCC to investigate what happened. To preserve the integrity of the investigation, DPS will not comment or release any other details. Once the investigation is complete, DPS may release additional information as allowed by law. This release ends with the department asking for the public's patience and understanding as the process moves forward. Meantime, Scott County Coroner Cody Caudill is investigating the cause and manner of Gilmore's death. Caudill also says those results will be determined by an official autopsy. Live in the studio, Blake Showalter, Heartland News.